Andy, let's get into the rest of the Elimination Chamber card. If you're watching this shorter video on our YouTube channel and you're looking for us to talk about The Rock and Cody, we just did on a previous video. I'm going to link it right here. So just make sure that you follow that if you want to hear our thoughts on that. But let's get into it because Andy, The Rock and Cody lead directly, seemingly, into the men's Elimination Chamber because as of right now, as it stands, the winner of the Elimination Chamber between CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, Logan Paul, and John Cena will go on to face Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania for the championship. You said it at the top of the show, Andy. You thought it was the most stacked but very predictable. Now you're just not sure because now, I said it just a few minutes ago, we can dive into the other scenarios with all of the other guys that can possibly, like, look, Andy, we saw that The Rock in his backstage Instagram video on the Netflix Raw, we saw him have an interaction with Drew McIntyre, and Drew whispered something in his ear and they had a little conversation. We don't know what was said. It makes sense. Drew could be the corporate champion, but here's what I want to ask you, Andy. The one that a lot of people are throwing out is CM Punk. Now, what I will say, I personally do not think that Phil Brooks came back to the WWE to put on a suit and align himself, kayfabe or not, with The Rock as that kind of bad guy. I don't think that's going to happen. However, CM Punk has repeatedly said he's not in the business to make friends. He's in the business to make money. And he's making more money right now than he's ever made. And imagine how much money he could make if he pulled this stunt. And he also told Cody Rhodes, Andy, that he was his friend. And as his friend,
stab in the front.
He's not going to stab him in the back. He's going to stab him in the front. Andy, what a way to stab him in the front if he were to align with The Rock.
Yeah, and I think even if he does align with The Rock, like, he doesn't have to be a suit-wearing guy. Like, I think he can still be the same CM Punk. Like, because like you said, he brings in money.
Hilarious for him coming out in a suit.
It would be hilarious.
It was so
it would
good.
be hilarious. Now, I did just think of this that could kind of tie everything together. Is if Punk became the corporate guy for The Rock, and we head towards WrestleMania doing Cody Punk, and we somehow go to WrestleMania with Roman Rock, and have Paul Heyman align himself with The Rock and be the corporate liaison between The Rock and Punk, and we put Punk and Heyman back together, and that could be part of the favor that Paul Heyman had, is like putting it in the ear of the Rock of like, hey, let's finally put everything behind Punk and go forward. I think that's a real possibility.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other end of this is, I think this is also a great matchup if you turn Cody heel, of doing a heel Cody versus a babyface CM Punk, because that's going to be like a full promo battle anyway. That's one of those feuds that you could do face versus face, because both guys are going to just lay into each other on the mic and then head into WrestleMania and just duke it out and fight.
Yep.
So I think you could easily like flip the roles and have Punk be the face, Cody be the heel. So I think that's a real possibility out of everything. That's probably like right up there with Cena as the other one that could really happen.
Here's my big hang up with Punk. And I'm not saying that he can't win the chamber and it can't make sense or you know, what have you. It's that favor that you mentioned. It's like, not that I want to know more about what the favor is, but I just feel like that's what he needs to hold on to rather than, I need to get to the main event of WrestleMania. No, I've got this favor that I can cash in with Paul Heyman. Now, Paul Heyman obviously has ties to the bloodline. Every member of the bloodline goes back to, you know, when he was whatever. He's managed everybody. We get that story, right? So obviously he has ties to The Rock. So you could connect those dots, and that can be the favor somehow. I just think the favor is more cut and dry than that. You know what I mean? Like I mentioned it last week, the favor can easily be Roman Reigns interfering in the Elimination Chamber to take out Seth Rollins and allow CM Punk to win. That's a favor. I still tend to think the favor ends up being that Punk doesn't win this match, doesn't win the chamber, and he somehow does something else at WrestleMania. And when Roman Reigns becomes champion or somewhere down the line that makes sense, Punk just says, here's my favor. I want it. It's happening now. You know what I mean? Whether he's a heel or face. Like, I just feel like the favor is more instantaneous than, again, we don't want to manipulate it like we're doing this, or we don't want it to get lost or whatever. He has that ace up his sleeve that he doesn't need the chamber win. Would the chamber win be great? Of course it would. But he doesn't. I feel like he doesn't need it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's so much to be said from the promo before the Rumble between Cody and Punk.
Yes, very true. Yes.
I think that could easily set up for WrestleMania. Because, and I know I'm the homer and I know I'm the bias guy, so I take this with a grain of salt, obviously.
Sure.
But I'm probably in the minority in this, and I'm fine with that. I would much rather see a Punk Cody than a Cena Cody at WrestleMania, because I think there's so much more.
Yeah, I would too.
There's so much more to the story of Punk Cody.
Yeah.
And I even, like, you add The Rock to that, yeah, that tells a story. I think even if you remove The Rock from the situation, that's still like a story that needs to be told for WrestleMania. So yeah, and I agree. I think the favor is going to directly lead to a match with Roman at some point. Yeah. That's exactly, or it's going to lead to, like you said, Roman getting involved in costing Seth and everything else heading forward. So yeah, I think Punk has probably the second best odds to win the chamber. I think he's the second pick for a lot of people. And it would not shock me if he did win the chamber. It would not shock me if we were heading to Cody and Punk at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think that Punk Cody is more intriguing. I have been long against Cody and Cena. I've preached that for a long time. Like, I just don't think that's a good idea if you're doing face versus face, assuming that Cody does not take The Rock up on his offer, or, you know, what have you, or assuming that one of them doesn't turn at the end of the match at WrestleMania, or, you know, turn along the way, whatever. An ultimate babyface versus babyface matchup for WrestleMania, I don't like it. Because I think the cheers are starting to dwindle for Cody as it is. They're not as loud as they were. So
tonight.
He did. He got a really good pop tonight. There's something about The Rock pushing Cody's buttons that make people like him more, I think. But, that's true. Yeah. But if I am making my official Elimination Chamber prediction for the men's chamber match, I'm going John Cena. I don't want to make that pick, but it just, to me, it makes the most sense for that to happen. I think if he wins, doesn't he either tie or surpass Triple H for most chamber wins of all time, or something like that?
Something like that.
He either ties the record for appearances or surpasses the record for appearance, and then either ties the record for wins or breaks the record, something. He's involved in both of those records with this chamber. So I think Cena gets it done in his last chamber match. What do you think?
My head says Cena. I did this with the Rumble, and I'm fine with that. My head says Cena. My heart says Punk. And so I think Punk wins. I really do. I think it comes down to Cena and Punk. I think we're going to have a great moment. I think they're going to do a lot of amazing callbacks. I don't think this is the last time we see these two guys in a ring together either. Because I would love a one-on-one matchup between them again. And let it happen at Money in the Bank, just full circle. But I think it's like, I think Punk does have a really good opportunity to win. And again, I'm more intrigued by CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes. No matter the dynamic of face versus heel, it doesn't really change the story. Right. I think it's the same story going through. So I'm going with CM Punk.
All right, let's move on to the women's elimination chamber. And Andy, I want to throw an interesting question at you before we dive into the actual match and the participants, which are Liv Morgan, Alexa Bliss, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Bayley, and Roxanne Perez. First thing I'm going to throw out at you is last week, and seemingly several weeks before that, we have really been hard on Triple H's booking of Cody Rhodes going into WrestleMania as the face of the company, as the WWE champion. But Andy, as I was prepping for the show tonight, Rhea Ripley is in the same situation as Cody Rhodes. She is the face of the women's division. She is the women's world heavyweight champion. And I'm not saying, again, a lot of people that regularly listen to this show, and maybe Andy, you do as well, think that I'm just bagging on the stipulation of the chamber match winner gets a shot at WrestleMania. Like, I'm not necessarily just bagging on that. What I'm saying is like Rhea Ripley should feel as important as Cody Rhodes in a lot of respects. Yet the story for her leading, and I know she's tied up a little bit with Io Sky and they're going to have a match next week, but the story for her leading into WrestleMania just doesn't seem as important as I feel like it should. Do you get that feeling at all with Rhea as well?
I do. And honestly, like I get that, and I know there's been a lot of talk about it the last week or so, but Triple H is good at a lot of things, and he's good at booking a lot of things. The women's division is not one of those things that he's good at booking.
Yeah.
And I think he caught lightning in a bottle with Rhea the first time.
Mhm.
And obviously injuries and everything else have kind of dwindled it out. I honestly think we stayed way too long with Rhea versus Judgment Day, like way too long. And I think that has put a damper on not just her, but on Judgment Day as a whole.
Yep.
But yeah, I agree. Like I don't want to say there's no intrigue for Rhea's match this year at WrestleMania, because whoever wins, I think they could add instant intrigue to it and make it really interesting. But again, the story to get there is important. You know, like the match, I always think of like this. The match can be great. Like, and that's one of the things that I know, don't want to bring them into it because you might start hissing and throwing stuff at me.
Oh, Lord.
But like, one of the things that AEW is good at is knowing their audience. And their audience wants the 5-star match. Like their audience wants, you know, your Will Ospreays versus Kenny Omegas, because what wrestling fan doesn't want to see that match? And the story doesn't even need to be there to see that match. The story is, hey, we're two of the best in the world. Let's go wrestle each other. And that's all the story needs. But when you get to a point like with Rhea, the match itself, like let's take last year, or 2 years ago, sorry, with Charlotte and Rhea. Like we knew that match was going to be good. But if we'd have got like a fantastic story heading into that, and then the match is as good as it was, that's like a perfect storm for everybody.
Yeah.
But we can't seem to get that on the women's side. And it seems like we can't get that outside of the Bloodline storyline. And even now, that's not really the case anymore, it seems like.
Right.
So I don't know. I think the Elimination Chamber is weird this year. I think it's good. I think the lineup in it is great. And I don't mind it having a stipulation, because I just don't think you can have an Elimination Chamber match without it being either for a title or for a number one contendership. Like it has to be for something.
Yep.
But I wouldn't mind Rhea putting her title on the line in the Elimination Chamber this year, and then we go from there. Or you know, Tiffany put her title on the line, and Rhea face somebody else. I don't know. It's a weird dynamic this year.
I am a big proponent of the champion putting their championship on the line in the chamber. Like, that's what I was begging.
We've got like 8 championships. Why is not one of them on the line in this thing?
For sure. I was begging for Gunther to put his title on the line in the Elimination Chamber. That's the one I really wanted. But I think Rhea in it would be fantastic as well. Yeah, I don't know. Like that thought came to me. I'm like, it makes so much sense that it's both of them. It's weird that it's both of them. But yeah, I don't know. It's almost like Rhea's title reign is forgotten. She won it on the first Raw on Netflix, and we just really haven't seen a whole lot of her as champion since. I know she wrestled Nia on Saturday night's main event, but you know, it is what it is. Right. All right. As we look at the field for the Women's Elimination Chamber, the tag team championship changed hands on the main event of Monday Night Raw tonight. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez defeating Bianca Belair and Naomi in a fantastic match. Andy, the 2 false finishes, the Oblivion that Bianca made the save, and then the KOD that Raquel made the save. I was literally coming out of my seat on those 2 false finishes. Those were shot so well, and saved at the very last second. Dude, that was such a good main event.
Yeah. And I think towards the end, it turned in my mind. I was like, "This is a kick out fest. Like we're just kicking out everything. We're getting it breaking up." It was. That's like 2 or 3 weeks in a row that the women's tag division in ring has killed it. Like has been the best thing on the show by far.
And
and
what team was the common thread?
Liv and Raquel.
Yep.
It's they have the perfect dynamic together.
Yep.
And I don't take anything away from Bianca and Naomi because they were killing it tonight too.
For sure.
So yeah, it was a really, really good main event. Amazing kick out, amazing finishes at the end. And kind of weird how they won. Like out of everything, she doesn't kick out of getting her face hit in the post, but I get it at the same time too. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. But yeah, it's thrown a wrinkle into everything because I was totally expecting or waiting for Jade's music to hit tonight. Like I was waiting for Jade to come out because it seemed like that was a possibility.
Yeah. So Bianca and Naomi both are in the Elimination Chamber as well. Do we see Jade come back at Elimination Chamber?
I think there's a good chance.
I feel like you have to. Like I feel like you have. Sam Roberts floated the theory out that we don't get the reveal of Jade's attacker until the night after WrestleMania, like the Raw after Mania or whatever. So
that's a long time.
It is, I know, but we've waited a long time for them to reveal anything. So, that's like, true. Is another month really going? Now that they've lost the tag titles, though, what else is the story? You know?
Yeah, and I think it could be one of those that maybe somehow she gets in the chamber, like not in the actual match, but she like gets inside the chamber during the match, and Bianca and Naomi and Liv are all standing there. And she just is looking at him, and it looks like she's getting ready to attack Liv, and then maybe she turns and attacks Naomi or Bianca because they're the ones that attacked her. Yep. And then like we're all confused, and then she's like, after the match, she's like, I'll explain Monday. We get to Monday, and she shows footage of whoever attacked her. So yep. I think that's a real possibility. But she has to show up sooner rather than later.
If we're getting WrestleMania, she has to.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's put the field up one more time. Roxanne Perez making her debut. Bayley, the wily veteran. Naomi, the veteran as well. Bianca Belair, former women's champion. Liv Morgan, the wrestler of the year in 2024. And then the returning Alexa Bliss. Andy, you know that I would love to see Alexa Bliss win this. I just don't think it's going to happen. Who's your pick? Who are you taking?
I kind of said last week that she was the most intriguing to me. And I think I'm going to stick to my guns. I think Bayley wins the Elimination Chamber. And we get Bayley versus Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania in a match that we have never really seen before. And I don't think has been on a lot of people's radar. But I think it's something that is definitely WrestleMania worthy. And it's something that they'll have a great match. And they can tell a great story of, you know, her with Damage Control and Rhea with Judgment Day and the path that they've come from and everything else. So I think there's a lot of opportunities there. So I'm going to go with Bayley.
You know, I was all about Bianca Belair until you brought Bayley up to me last week, and it really has just stuck in my brain because one of the main reasons is that you look at the field, look at the men's field, for example. We could pick out scenarios. Okay, let's say John Cena wins. Well, then you're probably going to get Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk in a match. Drew McIntyre, he's dabbled with Damian Priest a little bit. Who's Logan Paul going to face? Well, he could easily face AJ Styles. That's who he, eliminated from the Royal Rumble. Okay, fine, great. Let's say that, somebody else wins. There's scenarios for all of the men that you could easily pivot to if they don't win. With the women, there's not a whole lot outside of this Jade Cargill scenario that you could pivot to. So, and I think one of the ones that's really left out is Bayley. Like, I don't know what Bayley's going to do if she doesn't win this chamber. So I'm with you. I'm going to take Bayley. I like it. I think it's really intriguing. Her and Rhea is just, that's a fascinating matchup for sure.
Yep.
Speaking of fascinating matchups and matchups that I think this one, Andy, if done correctly, will surpass both chamber matches and be the match of the night. Of course, I'm talking about the unsanctioned match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in Canada. Bring back El Generico. Bring back Kevin Steen. Let's just go all Ring of Honor on them here. I
Yes.
mean, Andy, this is going to be brutal. It really is.
It's going to be a bloodbath, and I am totally fine with that. It's what it needs to be. I think this needs to be the main roster's version of Johnny versus Tommaso unsanctioned.
Yeah.
But I think it needs to be ramped up even more. Like I want somebody to be stretchered out after this is over. Like I want them to take that serious of what Adam Pearce said to Sami Zayn of I can't stop him if he like tries to end your career.
Yep.
And like they both need to go after each other in that way. So I'm expecting some pop-up power bombs on the apron. I'm expecting a package pile driver. I'm expecting Sami Zayn to drop somebody on their head again on the turnbuckle like he did to Gunther. Like I'm just expecting it to be an all-out brawl. And by far, this is the match I'm looking forward to the most.
Yep.
I said from the beginning, this should be on WrestleMania. I still think this should be on WrestleMania. But the fact that we're getting it at Elimination Chamber, I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. I think these guys, I'm telling you, man, I know that it would be great for it to be on WrestleMania, but for these guys to be from Canada and having this match in Canada, like, I personally think that means just as much to them for them to be able to do this. Because, you know, in reality, they are best friends. I mean, look, Kevin Owens was at Sami Zayn's house last week for SmackDown or whatever it was. You know that either before or after he shot that promo, they were in there having dinner and they were hanging out,
absolutely,
and having a good time or whatever. And then Kevin's like, "Oh, I got to go outside and shoot this promo. Just make sure you're by this window." And then, you know, is what it is. But no, man, I think it's going to be fantastic. I think there's a possibility they could both get stretchered out of this thing. You know, nobody is standing at the end of it. It's absolutely the way that it should be. But I'm not going to call it a no contest. I'm going to make a straight prediction in this one. We're picking these matches, and my pick, both of these guys really need this win, but I'm going Kevin Owens. Like, he's lost 3 straight championship matches to Cody Rhodes. He had a no contest with Randy Orton. Like, Kevin Owens needs this win a lot more. I'm going KO in this one.
Kevin Owens has not had like a successful feud in like 4 years, 5 years. It feels like outside of winning the tag titles, but like on his own, like he hasn't done a lot. He's done a lot of great stuff, but he's not been rewarded with a lot of wins. I think you're absolutely right.
He hasn't had a lot of meaningful feuds with wins more than what? Jericho, and that was in 2017.
Cena too.
Well, Cena was before that. Right?
Yeah, but Jericho,
like since
beat
Jericho.
Styles for the U.S. title, but there's a lot of problems with that. But yeah, I singles, I think it's probably been that. So it's about time. It's a shame this man has not been champion, like WWE champion again in a long time. It needs to happen again. But yeah, he absolutely needs this win. And I think part of the reason why he needs this win is because he's not going to win at WrestleMania.
Right.
But I think the opposite, Sami Zayn can lose this because he will win at WrestleMania.
Right.
So I'm kind of thinking ahead of that way. Give Kevin Owens the win, let him win, and then let him go after a mid-card title and win it and hold it for forever. Like, please, we talked about last week of mid-card titles not meaning as much as they used to. Put it on Kevin Owens, and it'll mean everything. I promise you.
Absolutely. Yep, I completely agree. I mean, he turned that U.S. title around. You know, the feud with AJ you were talking about, coming out and shaving his face and wearing a suit and the whole 9 yards. I mean, good grief. Let me tell you a match that I'm really looking forward to, and that's the other match on this card. Not a lot of people looking forward to this, but I am a huge fan of Trish Stratus. I think she's one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time. She is tagging with the women's champion, Tiffany Stratton, to take on the former champion, Nia Jax, and her lackey, Candice LeRae. And Andy, 2 reasons I'm looking forward to this one. One, we get Trish back in a ring in a match in Toronto. That's cool. And second, it's always great when Candice LeRae gets a spotlight. Like, I love to see her getting this spot. Like, we thought it was sad when Indy Hartwell got released. What are they going to do with Candice LeRae? dude, this has been great for her. I am so glad she's had this opportunity.
Yeah, it's been fantastic for her. I think she's doing a great job with it. She fits the like cunning, like want to align herself with the biggest and baddest in the room, so that way she succeeds too, and then turns on her and whatever the case is that's coming. But
Yep.
yeah, I'm excited for this match. I am. It's probably the one I'm not looking forward to the most, but it's not because it's going to be bad. It's just because there are all the other matches have such a high stake compared to this one that
That's true.
this
Yeah.
one just kind of feels like your throwaway hometown let Trish wrestle
Yep.
in front of a crowd, which is not a bad thing. So like I'm totally fine with that. My one concern is always this concern when you put Nia Jax in the ring with somebody like Trish. Don't hurt her. Because that double bonsai spot on SmackDown was horrible.
Yep.
It was so bad. She literally landed back on her feet and then just sat. And then it's not good. Please don't do that again.
I know. I agree. I obviously have concerns, but again, I think it'll be fun. That being said, what you picking the match? Are we going hometown Trish and Tiffany? What do you think?
I am. I'm going with Tiffany and Trish to get the win. Give Tiffany a big win before heading into WrestleMania. And then I think post-match, I think Charlotte lays out both of them. I think she lays out Trish. I think she lays out Tiffany because there's always tension between Charlotte and Trish. And then that builds more steam heading into WrestleMania for Charlotte and Tiffany. So I'm going with the hometown girl to get the win, but I don't think she'll be standing on her feet by the end of the night.
I don't know about the post-match attack, but I do agree that Trish and Tiffany are going to get the win here. All right, that's our Elimination Chamber preview. Again, make sure you're liking the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We would appreciate that so much.